Last week I asked you guys to let me know what is the worst horror movie you've ever watched, so let's get into it. Here are the 15 most hated horror movies of all time, and the results will shock you. In 15th place we have Tusk. I think people just didn't buy into how outrageous this film gets. Next we had The Devil Inside. Now, I personally haven't seen this horror movie, but based on reviews, I can definitely see why this is in most people's minds for worst horror movie. Next we had The Nun. This is a pretty generic horror movie with lazy jump scares. I do agree this movie is pretty much a dud. Next we have Halloween Ends. I know this one kind of left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and I think most general audience members felt bamboozled by the marketing of this film, and there really wasn't that much Michael in this, and it was pretty much all about a new character. I think that was a huge risk on the filmmakers, and it didn't pay off. Up next, this is where things get pretty spicy. We have It Follows. I think this was the start of that elevated horror that just didn't work for most people, and I think a lot of people couldn't get behind the premise of this film, which I thought was genius. And into our top 10 we have Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Yeah, I definitely think this is one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen. It's also extremely low budget and kind of hard for me to compare to these other bigger budget horror movies. And up next we have The Happening. Yeah, this is probably my least favorite M. Night Shyamalan film, and I'm happy to see the hate it gets. Next we have Skinamarink. I definitely knew I'd see this film on this list. This analog horror experimental type film is not gonna be for everyone. You either love it or you really hate it. And if you've been watching this long, you gotta follow Thick Nick Films for all your thick needs. Up next we have one that I do not agree with whatsoever, but the people spoke. We have Hereditary. Many consider to be a near perfect modern horror movie, while others just don't like it whatsoever. And I think a lot of viewers were left not sure what they had just watched by the end of this film. Up next we have Serbian Film. If you know, you know, and I personally believe this would be number one if more people had seen this film. Not a lot of people have seen a Serbian film, and that's a good thing. And to kick off the top 5, we have The Babadook. I really like this horror movie, but for most people, they just can't get behind that screaming, annoying kid. But I don't agree that this is anywhere near as bad as some of the other horror movies on this list. And up next, we have The Exorcist 2. And I can definitely understand why this one is so high, and it did not work as a horror movie or a sequel to one of the greatest horror movies of all time. What are you doing? And at number 3, we have Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Yeah, this movie is absolute trash. It looks so ugly. There's nearly nothing positive to say about this film, and I definitely agree with the people here. And at number 2, we got The Blair Witch Project. I am so shocked to see this. I think a lot of people aren't fond of found footage horror films. I think it's the go-to to hate on, as most people probably watch this and never watched another found footage movie ever again. And at number 1, it's gonna be The Human Centipede, and the Human Centipede franchise as a whole. To me, there is nothing of value in these films. The first one is okay. The second and third movie gotta be some of the worst movies I've ever watched. Just pure shock value and nothing more. So that's the list, guys. Let me know what you thought of it, and do you agree with the people here? What's missing in the top 15? What other ranking would you guys like to see? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, my name is Thick Nick, and I'll see you in the next one.